This is really, really interesting, as after it was announced that they had a huge layoff of their staff, Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins are now jumping ship from the D&D design team. It's like they it's like they just pushed out this terrible woke product, and then we're like, better wring my hands of that and go get a new job while I can. See ya, chuds. And that's exactly what happened here. Let's parse this out, because this is pretty interesting D&D news this morning, my friends. Look at this background picture with the black Nubian queen. Oh, the black warrior here. And of course, there's probably a black woman under that armor as well. This is exactly what they did. If you look at the new editions, all of their fantasy art has this kind of nonsense to it, and it's intentional. This is about erasing white people and white males from the hobbies. They said so at the very beginning of this. The guy who was in charge of the brand, who was, of course, let go a couple years ago, said on an interview that he wanted people like him out of the hobby, that they didn't represent the hobby anymore, that he wanted more black women and things like that to be a part of this. And it's such a weird, bizarre obsession with race and gender. It's like, oh my gosh. And this is it. The problem is normal people checked out, because once all this stuff starts to take over things, people tune out, and of course the brand has died as a result. We'll get into this in just a moment as we talk about all things D&D. This is the real fantasy news, my friends. Please join us here as we talk about everything that's going on. This is huge in the culture war. I don't get it. A lot of people are still out there going, woke is dead, but everything out there from the mainstream entertainment is exactly the same as it was, before the election. Nothing really changed. These people are doubling down. In fact, they're blowing up Teslas now because they're so unhinged. And this is where we're at. And so you still have to call it out. The ride never ends. If you have never really been a part of this, never weren't in Gamergate before, guys, you got to know that this doesn't stop. They don't go away. They don't magically realize they're what they're doing. They're going to move on to other games, other industries, and just wreck things over there, because they're the same people that have done this sort of stuff. And this is exactly what's going to be happening here. So interesting on this level, Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins leaving D&D design teams. These are actually the two guys who were doing some of the most work on this. Absolutely crazy. And they're out. And so we'll see what happens on this as we go further in this D&D nightmare for Hasbro. My name's John Delarose, everybody. I am a #1 best-selling author, and I would love for you to check out my fantasy work. This is my Demon's Eye not graphic novel. This is a regular novel. And it is a classic fantasy. If you know the original Appendix N from Gary Gygax and the guys back in the day, this is definitely an ode to that style of writing. So it's got a strong male lead. He's fighting against real evil. There's a lot to it. Each chapter really has its own sort of fantasy elements that really build up over the course of this. So I'd love for you to start reading this today. It's in the description below. Support our channel. It's only $4.99, guys. Available on Kindle and paperback for you. Thank you so much for reading and making this a success so far. And yes, support our channel. It's right here. And yes, God bless all the readers out there. So here we are. The guiding forces behind Dungeons & Dragons for the last decade are both departing Wizards of the Coast. Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford have been a part of Dungeons & Dragons' design team for decades. They were the two lead designers of the game's current 5th edition rule set, which has become the most popular rule set in the game's history. Wait, what? Screen rant. No, shut up. Come on. And recently, Perkins became the creative director for Dungeons & Dragons, overseeing the story direction for settings for both the game and other media. Crawford became the game director, overseeing the rules for the game. And this is with this new revised 5th edition that they call it, or 5.5 or 5-point-woke, as you might want to call it. These guys are the ones who are primarily responsible for what this travesty that occurred. And we saw exactly what happened. Once they started revealing the art direction with the Mexican orcs, and that blew up last year, we knew this was going to be a massive problem. And sure enough, if you go into the player's guide and you just count up all the BIPOC strong female leads out of there and try to compare them to white males just in the audience, it's like an 80% to 20% sort of art direction. And that's done intentionally. This is done intentionally. It's in all media, guys. It's not a mistake. It's not just, the natural way that they're doing things. They commission these intentionally like this. They're like, you can see it in the background, just at the top here. Like, everybody's a black woman, right? And that's what they want to do. They want to try to change the face of the game because they want to appeal to a, quote, modern audience that's going to come in. And they never come in. If you look at the sales of this edition, absolute train wreck. This is premiered, in the 50s on the top book sales chart, while Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, just a couple years back, was number 5 on the top sales chart, which is, a weird side manual. Now, if you don't know, core books always sell way better than little side manuals like that, right? And so that's why they always release new core books, because they're trying to reset things, get people in, make it a jumping on point, and that's where they get the majority of their sales for things. That's why you see every RPG revising their rules and things like that every 5 to 10 years or whatever it is. And so it's going to happen more and more often. This is a disaster, though. Nobody liked this rule set because it just watered everything down. It made it a safe space because these people are just complete pansies out there. And these are the guys responsible, like I said. They made it so that, somebody can make an X with their arms and tell the DM to stop because they're triggered. And then you have to sit and talk about why they're triggered. And this is the stuff that's in the manuals. It's like, oof. Of course, orcs are not even in the monsters manual anymore. They're now, they're good guys. You can't play as a half orc or half elf because, that's racist. And of course, race doesn't exist. It's species now. They're changing these things all the way around. And let's not even get into the male dryads and the male hags and things like that are just more subtle nonsense things, just pushing the gender ideology agenda that they're really, really working hard for here. With all this stuff in the game, it was crazy. Now, they really wanted to move this to like an online model where you're going to pay a subscription and things like that, and that failed. And that's why they laid off a lot of their staff that was going to be making this virtual tabletop sort of deal with this system. They knew it wasn't catching on, and that Hasbro was losing money big time last year. Almost all of the money that came from their tabletop and things like that came out of licensing stuff out. So like they'd license the game to Baldur's Gate 3 and they'd get money for it. It's not from their own products themselves. So they're actually trying as a strategy, as a company, to turn this more into a licensing brand, a lifestyle brand like that, rather than actually doing something like creating good books that people actually want. And this is where it's at now. So these guys see the writing on the wall. They know exactly what's happening. This is a sunk company, and so they're like, we're out. And that's it. So that's where they're at. They're departing on their own terms after finishing new core books. This is pretty funny. So we'll never know what really happened here. Are they actually going to be fired, or is this their own terms for real? We don't know. Both of them have been working on D&D for a long time. It's a point of discussion for some time, something they've been training up everyone for. They feel really good about the teams they've left in place, the legacy they're passing on. And yes, they wanted to make sure that the core rulebooks were really successful, that they were setting up all the future leads for success. Yeah, right. That has happened. What a lie. And they feel really, really reassured that the folks in the place will be able to carry on with a wonderful legacy that they've given us and bring their own stuff to the table, which they're already doing. Please clap. Please clap, everybody. Screen Rant also confirmed with Lenzio that both Perkins and Crawford's were on their terms, not part of some wider corporate move. Really weird, because the timing with a lot of layoffs happening, with Hasbro posting really bad financials and the like. Sus. It's one of those things, like, who's going to leave a job in this environment where everything's like just of their own will? No. They screwed things up pretty badly. They're jumping ship because they know what's coming, and a lot of layoffs are coming that are going to get even worse at Wizards of the Coast, at Hasbro. They know the writing's on the wall. They made a woke product. It went broke. Jump ship. That's what you do. We've seen this with the Corrine Bush person for Dragon Age: The Veilguard, who jumped ship right before the big layoffs hit at BioWare, because that game was a big failure, right? So it's one of those things where you finish a major keystone for a creative project and you ask yourself, okay, do I have the next one in me right now? Do I want to do something a little bit different? I think any creative can identify with that. Yeah, that's a corporate mistake right there. For sure. So, interesting. Who's going to replace them in the immediate future? Nobody's going to directly step in to replace him because there's no need. Principal designers have a bigger place at the table. And this is pretty interesting with a combined loss of 40 years of experience. Probably a good thing at this point, and absolutely crazy. So everybody's jumping ship right now. We know exactly what this means for real. This is the roadmap remains the same. And this is exactly what happens. So the people in place are not any better. It's not that they're learning their lessons from the failures that are coming right now. They're telling you it's a huge success. It's exactly the way we want it. Yeah, they're giving you corporate doublespeak throughout this entire thing right here. And you can, if you've not read this kind of stuff before, you can tell the way they say things. But they're going to keep doubling down. They're going to keep pushing this agenda, and it's going to keep getting worse. And without any sort of leadership at the top, it's just going to spiral even further. We're going to see a complete destruction of D&D over the next few years. It's going to be interesting to watch and see what this means for tabletop. Everybody's complaining about tariffs, saying that's the big thing for tabletop. Blah, blah, blah. Well, this is a pen and paper game, so it isn't really the case here. We'll see what happens here, and we'll be covering it every step of the way. I expect within the next couple months, I'm going to predict bigger layoffs happening, that product delays and cutting of certain products are going to start happening more so, and that's the onus of what's going to happen here, and that's why these guys jumped ship early. Pretty interesting on this level. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Please hit the like and subscribe button as we talk about all things in the culture, especially Dungeons & Dragons, the fantasy news, my friends. What do you think about this? Are you sad that these guys have left? Leave a comment down below. Please check out my Demon's Eye I always say graphic novel because I do write comics too. But if you like my comics, you can get on my newsletter, get some for free, which would be great. And, of course, I love connecting with you guys. But grab this today. Start reading. It's in the description below. Really appreciate you for supporting our channel and supporting our work here as we're building something new. We'll be back soon.